Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. We are shooting from Leicester, not Leicester. Thank you very much. No, just kidding.
So we have an announcement. We will no longer be pronouncing Leicester as Leicester.
Arsenal are due to face Leicester? Leicester. Potato.
It's really spelt weird.
To an American, it looks like it would be Leicester.
So last video we talked about Viv was taking a break, and one of the games she was going to be missing was against Leicester, that we pronounced Leicester. This is what's kind of bad on our part. We have said that name before, and we continuously have gotten it wrong.
It's one of those words.
It's tricky. So we've actually mispronounced it before, and I know for a fact people have corrected it, and
it's one of those words that just doesn't stick.
Yeah, so sorry about that. But we actually will pronounce it, and next time we see, we know it's Leicester.
Well, yes, here's a clip of me pronouncing it correctly.
Leicester.
That was a joke. So Leicester. And that was part of the video last week, and that's we're gonna kind of take that video and kind of talk a little bit more about Viv and Beth. And I know sometimes people don't like when we do too many Viv and Beth videos back to back to back. But I will say, this book that Beth has coming out, she's just having so many interviews, and it's really interesting. Actually, somebody said here, we weren't quite sure if the book had already come out, but Lucy says, according to Amazon, Beth's book is out on November 10th. But then she goes, you guys just sold a copy for her. I'm getting it. So a lot of this information that she's doing in these interviews, it's very interesting. We're going to buy the book. It's out November 10th. And that's what we're going to do. There's another part of an interview we're going to talk about. And then we're going to go over some comments from last video. We talked about Viv and Beth last video. We talked about, Beth gave us the deets. She asked Viv out right after the friendly Netherlands versus England, where England smashed Netherlands. And she didn't want to ask Viv out, but she did. But she gave us that information that's in the book. She also talked about Viv was the one who really went for it. She was the one who said, I love you first, and went for the kiss first, So we did find out some more information. But this interview we're going to kind of watch, it's only a 2-minute clip, but it gives us even more information about the evolution of their relationship. Obviously, when they were on the team together 5 years ago, it was a completely different dynamic than it is now, obviously.
Yeah.
But we're gonna watch this clip, and then we're gonna kind of talk about it, because I thought this was a very interesting clip.
Can't help who you fall in love with, and the person that you fell in love with, you actually weren't too keen on when they first joined Arsenal, which did make me chuckle throughout the book. For anybody who doesn't know, and of course there were ripples of excitement everywhere when the first photos of you and Viv Miedema came out together. And when she arrived and you heard, we've skipped over a whole section in terms of what happened to you at Arsenal and being moved onto the wing more, but just tell everyone exactly what it was like when she first joined the club and how you were feeling.
Well, obviously, at the time, I was a number 9, and obviously this girl called Viv came in, and I happened to not be a number 9 anymore because she was better than me, which I'm not denying. Obviously, seeing what she's done, but yeah, I had to learn my new position out wide. I got pushed out of the way for her, but me and Viv have always been friends, but we've never, at the beginning, had that much time to, outside of football, spend it with each other. Circumstantial, obviously, but yeah, turned out very differently, and we joke about it now. I don't think we'd ever expected it or to be together, but yeah, weirdly matched very well and balance each other out very well. But yeah, it wasn't my ideal start when she banged me out to the wing.
So that clip is so, getting that perspective from Beth at that point, when Viv came to the team, she first came to Arsenal, she basically took Beth's spot. Beth was the striker, but Beth was the number 9, and she knocked Beth out of her position, which happens, I guess happens a lot. I know there's a lot of instances where that just happens. That does happen. And sure, she talks about it in the book, but then this person that you're already predisposed not to like because of that,
Right.
comes in.
I'm sorry, this is a classic love story. The person comes in, takes your job, takes your position, and you're like, oh, I hate you. Kind of not hate you, but like, oh, you're my enemy.
Yeah.
But we're teammates as well. And then this is like a Hallmark movie. And later they turn lovers, and whoa, this is world of romance. We never expected this.
No, but is it more like a soap opera given the dynamic of they were both in relationships at the time? I'm not sure if Beth was in a relationship with Dan at the time, but Viv definitely was in a relationship with Lisa. So is that like a soap opera more than anything? Like,
I mean, yeah, it's classic. It's just a classic movie.
that's true. And so she goes in there, and then, like Beth says, she's probably, resentful is not the right word. She's probably just annoyed because she does know Viv is better at the time. She goes, she gets it. Viv is Viv Miedema. So she understands that was just the way it was going to go. But from starting there, they are now. Also, how she said they didn't really hang out, with each other. A lot of times people, before Viv and Beth really got friendly, that they were interacting on social media, before we knew they were officially a thing, a lot of people were like, are they even friends? I mean, obviously they knew they were, but have they ever hung out?
Teammates, but were they friends?
Yeah.
Or friends.
Because a lot of times when you have teammates, the friend groups on the team really well, you know what I mean?
Right.
But it always seemed like Viv and Beth were kind of an odd couple to hang out with, because we never really saw them together. But, if the timetable is this is how I see it in my head.
Oh, dear.
They both were in long-term relationships. And we talked about this before in another video. They were both in long-term relationships. They got out of long-term relationships. Right there, you're bonding over that. You know what I mean? And that makes sense, that they were both in long-term relationships. It is kind of, the backstory of them both being with other people on the team now, they together, any which way you slice it, it's a story. Any which way you slice it, it's a headline. It really is a headline. But
everyone has their origin story.
yes. Like Beth said, they didn't really hang out with each other. They're friends, but they never really hung out. The circumstance of the day, you know what I mean? But from going to, I'm not too keen on this person because they've taken my spot, to they're dating, living together, everything now, that it's kind of like, wow, that is such a jump.
I mean, I've seen this movie before plenty of times, so I'm trying to think.
It sounds like it's all in this book too. So again, if this story sounds interesting, this book sounds very juicy. Well, there's a next little part. We're gonna watch this and then kind of react to it.
I can imagine the sense of humour you both have, because she's very dry as well. And when I saw the Ballon d'Or arrival and somebody had put Vivianne Miedema and guest when you were nominated.
My favourite picture of the year. For me, we found it very funny, and I think she put it out there, obviously, to kind of make her a little bit of a statement. The fact that had been put, I just finished second in the Ballon d'Or, but I was her guest still. Forever living in Viv's shadow. No, I'm joking. No, we found the funny side of it. Obviously, it was an interesting one, but yeah, her humour is very dry, to say the least.
So again, she talks about the Ballon d'Or guest, which it sounds like, I'm sure Viv got so much enjoyment out of that, because they're very competitive people, you know what I mean? And like they said, and like the interviewer says, they're both very dry sense of humor.
Yeah, if that happened, I would bring that up for years.
Yes. And it seems like Beth is a good sport about it, because at that point, what are you to do? So what did everyone think about that? Well, I did want to read a couple comments from last video. We got a lot of comments about Viv taking time off and being granted leave, because it's serious. And we don't know if this is, like you said, they have experiences with COVID-related illness going on. Actually, we'll read this comment.
Some people who get COVID just get the sniffles. Looks like Viv got it much worse, where it affects your lungs. This is no joke. For a top 5 player to not get playing time, her cardio is nowhere near where it needs to be. She's not on the wrong side of a career. She's on the upside, so it has to be a long-term effect feel for her. This isn't an injury where you just rehab and come back stronger.
Yeah, and a lot of people, there was a lot of comments about that in reference to, it's serious. Viv did seem to have it more severe than other cases because at the time Jackie Gronin also had it, but it did not seem like Jackie Gronin had it as severe as Viv at that time.
Right.
And then someone also left this good comment saying that
I had COVID last year and went to physio, not for COVID, but the physio put me right on the COVID training after testing my condition. I didn't even realize that my condition had deteriorated so much. It took me 8 months for my heart to return to normal during training. I can't imagine what it must be like for a top athlete where condition and fitness are everything. This not only does things to you physically, but also your mental health. Hope she gets back to her old self soon.
Yeah, that's a good point. Viv has also talked about her mental health this last year or so, saying that she's done a lot. She feels like almost like a different person in some respects. She went to her teammates this is before COVID, and just she laid it all down on the line, and they were like, whoa, this is a new open Viv. And so it sounded like she had made strides, but maybe after having COVID, it just, the mental health aspect of that is very challenging as well.
Viv may had had long COVID that lasts for months and is especially worse in women. You can tell by watching her in the video that she wasn't herself. I hope and pray she gets better while on leave. The long COVID is a bear, so my daughter tells me, and she is an RN.
Yeah, and it gets worse for women? What isn't worse for women?
God, everything.
I know.
We're just,
but the thing is, we don't know if she does have long COVID. However, anyone who is suffering from long COVID, sounds not fun, and it sounds like a horrible, very challenging experience overall. I'll read this one little last comment. This is kind of about Viv and Beth overall, because people are just loving what Viv and Beth are putting out together, and people can't get enough of it.
Beth and Viv have very rapidly gained all of my interest because the candor with which they talk about the relationship just makes my non-hetero heart flutter. Every detail we have, every cute moment we know about was given to us willingly. This is such a monumental change, and I think that they are aware of it. I am very excited to read Beth's book because every single one of her press outings just makes me love her a little bit more. Regarding Viv, I think this break is more than necessary for her, and I commend her for her maturity. It takes one heck of a person and one heck of an athlete to know when to step back. Props to Arsenal and the Netherlands national team for allowing her this leave of absence as well. Hopefully she will come back recharged both physically and mentally.
Yeah, perfect comment to kind of end on. That first part of the comment, we love it. They are giving what they want to, but they are willingly giving all these details, and we're loving it. Like the comment said, it's a change from people feeling not wanting to share because of either judgment or feel scared about the possible backlash of sharing a not straight narrative to the world.
Right.
And I think a lot of athletes in the past probably felt like they couldn't share because of the hate they would get or the judgment they would get. But it's slowly getting there to where, whether it's a man, whether it's a same sex or not same sex, there isn't that initial judgment to be like, oh, same sex. Oh my goodness. It's getting there. I think little by little,
Right. Yeah.
And I just love it. And then the comment about Viv, yeah, to know when it's time for you to take time off is being in touch with your body. That's actually showing more maturity, knowing, hey, I'm ready for a break.
Yeah, not pushing yourself to the limit or past the limit,
Right.
You don't want to do that.
And I think there'll always be conversations about that game against France, whether or not Marc Parsons should have taken her out. I think a lot of people said they should have. Some people might have said Viv was in control, saying, I want to be out there. But as a coach, it is your job to know when your player shouldn't be out there too. You know what I mean? And right. I think a lot of people will talk about that match with Viv for a long time because that was that safe, Yeah. Even if it was Viv's decision, it's the coach's decision who comes in and out. So
yeah, exactly.
What did everyone think? More interviews from Beth. We are loving, just like that comment said. And, from going from, hey, not too keen to, hey, I like you. Let's kiss. And let's date.
A little too keen.
Yeah, a little too keen.
You know what I'm saying?
That is very interesting. And just the way events happen. Because, at the end of the day, everyone in that situation looks like it's where they're supposed to be right now, you know.
Exactly.
What does everyone think? More content coming out soon. Again, if we've been a little too Viv heavy, sorry.
Not sorry.
Questions, comments down below. You know, excited to see what's next for Viv and Beth, but what everyone think.
Hey, maybe next time we'll find out the first time that they had